Welcome to the .NET Excel library tutorial. In this video, I'll show you how to create, edit, and format a table in Excel documents using the Syncfusion .NET Excel library. I will begin by opening an existing ASP.NET Core application, where I have already installed the Syncfusion XLSIO.NET Core package. If you want to know how to get started with the Syncfusion .NET Excel library, check the video link in the card above or the description below. First, let me show you how to create a table in an Excel document by clicking this button. Look at this document. I'm going to create a table for the cell range A1 to C5. To begin with, I open the index.cshtml file, remove the existing code, and add a Create Table button. To define its event handler, I navigate to the Home Controller class and import necessary namespaces. Next, I define an action method with the return type, action result. In this method, I initialize an instance of Excel Engine and create an iApplication instance. I set the default Excel version to XLSX. Next, I create a file stream to retrieve the existing Excel file using the appropriate access options. I then open the workbook and access its first worksheet. To create a table, I use the listObjectsCreate method, specifying the table name and data range. I set the built-in table style property to table style medium 9 and dispose the input file stream. To export the Excel file, I define a helper method called exportFile, which creates a memory stream, saves the workbook to the stream, resets the stream position, and returns the file as a downloadable Excel document. Then, I invoke this method by passing the workbook and the file name. Now, I save and run the application. When I click the Create Table button, the Excel file is downloaded. As you can see, the table has been added to the document. Next, I'll show you how to access a table in an existing Excel file and edit its table style. I add a button for editing the table and define an action method with the return type, action result. Within this method, I reuse the code from the previous method with a few modifications. To access the table, I retrieve the first table in the worksheet and change its style. I also update the file name for download. When I click the button, the Excel file is downloaded. As you can see, the style of the table has been modified. Lastly, to create a table with a custom style format in Excel, I add a button to format the table and define its action method with the return type, action result. In this method, I initialize an instance of Excel Engine and create an iApplication instance. I set the default Excel version to XLSX, create a workbook, and retrieve its first worksheet. Next, I populate the worksheet with sample data. This includes a header row with column titles like Products, Quarter 1, Quarter 2, Quarter 3, and Quarter 4, followed by several rows of product names and their corresponding quarterly sales figures. To format numeric values, I create a custom style named Currency Format and define its number format to display values as currency, including symbols, decimal places, and formatting for positive, negative, and 0 values. I apply the style to the range B2 to E8 so that the numbers appear in currency format. Next, I create a table using the listObjectsCreate method, specifying the table name as Table 1 and the range as A1 to E7. To customize the table, I first access the collection of styles. From this collection, I create a new style with a unique identifier. I access the table style elements and add a style element to the second column stripe, setting its background color. Then, I add another to the first column and set its font color. Next, I add a 1 to the header row and set both its font and background colors. I add an element to the total row and apply the same styling. Now, I apply these custom styles to the table. I enable the Show Totals property to calculate the sum for each numeric column. Additionally, I enable the relevant properties for visual enhancements like first column highlighting, column stripes, and row stripes to improve readability. The total row is labeled Total in the first column, and the remaining columns are configured to calculate the sum of their values. These settings enhance both the appearance and functionality of the table. Lastly, I invoke the export file method by passing the workbook and the file name. When I click this button, the Excel file is downloaded. Looking here, the table is created exactly as specified. It applies the currency format to numeric cells, styles the header row, total row, first column, and second column with stripes, and enables total row calculations for each numeric column. That's a wrap. This video shows how to create, edit, and format a table in Excel documents using the Syncfusion .NET Excel library. You can download a working example from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also shared a link where you can learn about obtaining a free license key to use our file format libraries through our community license. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.